Hi everyone, I'm Dom Griffin, your favorite film critic, and you're watching The Armchair Auteur. This is an ongoing video series where we talk about new movies, old movies, screenplay analysis, television series reviews, that sort of thing. So if you like movies and you like movie-adjacent popular culture, and you like to see somebody pick those things apart, you are in the right place and you should consider subscribing. Today, I'll be doing a year-in review of the year 2022. Please do not overanalyze the crisis bleaching. I have not been around much lately, as I am aware and as you are aware if you follow the channel. You guys weren't even around for my very brief green hair phase. I haven't uploaded a video in almost 2 months. I had several videos that I started working on that I almost recorded or almost wrote or this or that, and none of them really came to fruition. I've just been really busy. It sucks, but that's the reality. I'm not going to sit and like make excuses. But I didn't want the end of the year to go by without me putting out something on the channel. Just wanted to talk to everybody about a variety of things. So I thought, you know, I'll just make a video about a handful of things that I wanted to talk about. I'll give you guys like my best and worst of the year. I'll talk about some recent like trending topics and stuff. I'll try to touch on a few movies that I saw that you might be curious about my opinions on that I didn't make full videos for, that sort of thing. So this is not going to be really scripted or very formal. Pretend this is like the close friend story of YouTube videos. Like, we all know each other. You guys know me. I know you, most of you. And, you know, we're just gonna kind of interface a little bit before 2022 is out. So if we're going to talk about what I've been up to, we got to talk about screener season. I'm in the Washington Area Film Critics Association. It is one of the many, you know, regional critics groups, sort of like CCA and all the different stuff, and New York Film Critics Circle, that make their own end of the year awards that sort of tangentially connect to the road to the Oscars. Like, not much, but like, you know, there's like momentum if you get a lot of Critics Circle awards and things like that on the way to the big naked gold man. As such, every year I get sent a bunch of screeners, digital or otherwise, for movies that studios want to get awards for various reasons. This year, I feel like I got less physical screeners than ever before. I mean, I still got like random, you know, big boxes from Netflix and stuff like that. I got one for Glass Onion that didn't come with Glass Onion the movie, but it came with like the kombucha from the movie, like that joke, the Jared Leto kombucha. But for me, my goal is always to try to watch as many of the movies that I'm sent as possible before it's time for my guild to like vote on our end of the year stuff. I just sort of feel like if I'm going to, you know, be a professional film critic, if I'm going to make this a thing that I take seriously, I should watch as many movies, new release movies, as I can. This year, I feel like the last couple of years I've been like between 100 and 150 new release movies a year. I think this year I did like 80. It's kind of rough. Part of that is that, one, there were just fewer new movies this year, and the other part of that is I've just been busy, you know. But I watched a bunch of them, some better than others, and I noticed two really big trends in all of the award season movies this year, and that was that a lot of filmmakers seem to be like principally concerned with two things at the moment. One is that it feels like a lot of filmmakers are reckoning with the reverberations of 2020 and the protests and everything. So I feel like filmmakers who maybe wouldn't necessarily lean into sort of social commentary are like forced themselves out of that box. Some better than others. Other filmmakers seem really preoccupied with the fact that the movie theater industry has changed forever. Like the fear that the movies are just going to go away because the pandemic changed things. So you get movies like Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans, Damien Chazelle's Babylon, Sam Mendes' Empire of Light, which literally takes place in a movie theater in the 80s. These movies that all seem to be movies about movies, something that like the average public does not give a shit about and never has cared about. And I was really annoyed about that before I watched any of them. I was like, well, who cares about this? Why are these people making these movies that are just inside baseball for the, you know, the converted already? These people that already know and care about movies. What average Joe wants that? And then I watched all of them, and even Empire of Light, which I was not a very big fan of, got me on some level. I mean, it's really beautiful Roger Deakins cinematography. If you haven't seen the movie, it's very pretty. I have some script issues with it, but all of them on some level or another really worked on me because I love movies and I care about movies, and my day job is the movies and my night job is the movies. So I was an easy sell. Fableman's made me cry a bunch. Babylon even kind of got to me. Like so, I started the screener season very cynical about the idea of these movies are magic movies, and then I watched all of them, and without fail, I was like, yeah, no, I'm a sucker. I'm a mark for this sort of thing. So, sue me.
I made you look like you could fly, but I can't fly.
Throughout the video, I'll be referencing my Letterboxd because I'm very active on there. I log everything I watch. I don't always leave diary entries for every watch. Usually if something is blank, it means I had nothing to say about it, or I'm planning on putting something out with it later. But otherwise, I try to talk about everything I watch. So like, if you're curious, every screener that I logged is on Letterboxd. You can see my thoughts on some of those movies as well. You know, because I didn't get a chance to like review every single one of them. But some of them I liked more than others. Some of them will come up later when I talk about my end of the year lists. Speaking of Letterboxd, I did something very cool very recently. For the first time, other than 2020, in years, I spent Christmas not at a movie theater. I didn't have to go to work on Christmas. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I was off, and I spent it largely in bed watching movies. And it was delightful. Let me tell you something. I have been doing a thing where I force myself, well, not force, that's not quite the right word, where I give myself space to just watch movies. Not movies that I have to write about or review or research for a future essay or something, and not movies that like are on my watch list that I feel like I should watch because I'm always trying to broaden my horizons. Not like homework movies. I'll just think about a movie and then I'll watch it, and then whatever feelings watching that movie or rewatching that movie give me, I'll let it judge what I watch next. For instance, the night before Christmas Eve, I watched Michael Clayton, Tony Gilroy's supremely underrated Michael Clayton legal thriller, George Clooney's best performance, one of the best movies of the aughts. And when it was over, I was like, oh, you know what I really want to do? I want to watch more movies that feel like they came out in 1997 about like lawyers. So I started my Christmas Eve by I rewatched Civil Action, the Steven Zaillian film with John Travolta about a big legal case about poisoned water that I watched for the first time when I was, I don't know, like 13 maybe, but it always stuck with me. And then I had to follow it up with Todd Haynes' Dark Waters with Mark Ruffalo, which is a very similar film about the same topic but a different case. And I did those back to back, and it was a really fun experience because I love that kind of movie. They don't make them very much anymore, and it was just cool seeing like those three movies in progression, seeing like the connections between them stylistically, structurally, and like, okay, it wasn't all just analysis. A lot of it was just like, I like this kind of thing, you know? Sidney Pollack, the great late director, Sidney Pollack pops up in Michael Clayton. It's like his last acting role as the head of Michael Clayton's law firm. And then I'm watching a Civil Action, and there's a scene where John Travolta has to go to visit this other law firm, and the head of that law firm, it's Sidney Pollack. He's just really good at playing dickhead rich litigators, I guess, when he's not making it out of Africa. And I forgot he was in the movie. So seeing him pop up in Michael Clayton and then in Civil Action, that was like really cool. It felt like, I don't know, like a cinematic universe of 90s white character actors. It was fun. But then, you know, we're getting into Christmas time. I just watched a bunch of non-traditional Christmas movies, I'll say. Like I watched Violent Night, the David Harbour, Punch 'Em Up Santa movie. I don't have a lot to say about that. The action's whatever. But the movie itself is quite sweet. It has a lot of heart, which is really important for me for Christmas. I've rewatched the original Lethal Weapon. I ended Christmas with The Nice Guys, a perfect movie that everyone should see. I love Shane Black. He's the king of Christmas. And it was so nice. I don't know how else to say it. Like I tend to talk about movies a lot from the perspective of someone who is paid to review them or makes recreational videos about them on YouTube, analyzing them. And I don't do enough of just watching movies for fun. And this is something I complain about on the channel fairly often. I know you've heard this rant before if you follow me, but I feel like in the last half of this year, I got out of my drought of being not inspired by movies to really learning to love movies again just for the fun of it, just for like the escape they provide, the comfort they bring, just the thrill of watching stories you've seen before, stories you haven't. And letting yourself just like luxuriate in that, and it's so underrated, you know, especially for someone like me. Like I write movie reviews. I get, you know, it becomes like it's like a job. It becomes work. My day job is movie theaters. I talk to people about movies, and I get so sick of doing it that like I lose the plot. I lose the plot, and it felt like a Christmas miracle getting the plot back, finding the plot again, being a person who can watch a movie and just be excited about it, and then like go on Letterboxd and see what my friends said about it the last time they logged it, and then arbitrarily decide to like follow someone from that movie to another movie. Like, oh hey, I forgot so and so was the cinematographer on this. They were the cinematographer on this other movie I haven't rewatched in a while. Let me throw that on, and just kind of going in those loops and stuff, and like it's the best. It just is. Like, I mean, it rules. I love movies. In my notes, I wrote James Gunn DCU because I wanted to do like a segment in here about my thoughts about James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over the DCU and all the crazy headlines and all the different changes that are being made and all this sort of stuff. But like, I don't really actually have any strong feelings about something that essentially has not really happened yet. Like, I can't share my opinion about theoretical things they're going to do. You know what I mean? Like, my opinions are as follows. One, I don't want to watch a Superman movie written by James Gunn. It's like the last person I want to see writing Superman for any reason. I like the idea of him being DC's Kevin Feige or whatever, but like I don't want his take on Superman. I have less than zero interest. He's going to have a long way to convince me that he has any good ideas about that subject. So there's that. Two, it is so fucking funny that Black Adam flopped. You understand, I run a movie theater. I went into the month before Black Adam dropped thinking this movie was going to be gold in terms of money because like my theater sort of caters more towards like kids and families than it used to because a lot of the art house stuff doesn't bang the same way. And I thought, this is great. Like, we've been slow, we've been dead. I've had to cut hours for my staff, like, which is bad because people have bills to pay. And I kept thinking, you know what? The Rock is going to come through. Him doing this goofy superhero movie, it's not a movie I was very excited to see, but I was like, this is going to be good. People will pay to see this. And then they like didn't. They really didn't. I feel like Black Adam did worse than like a handful of very unspectacular art house movies at my theater, and then it did bad pretty much everywhere else too. Not great review wise, good audience score, whatever. But like as a movie, it just had no. Just vapor. So when James Gunn took over, and it was very clear that The Rock's like whole power play to get Henry Cavill back and do all this stuff wasn't going to work, and then he has to like manage his brand and still seem like he's got it together. Watching this man melt down publicly, as someone who sided with Vin in the Fast divorce, has been beautiful. Like this is the end of the line for The Rock. I think that Red Slay Down movie or whatever that he's doing is probably going to be dumb too. He's going to have to figure out, it's like time for gimmick change, like for real. Like it's time for him to figure out how to rework his screen persona and public persona to not be, he's become like a politician at this point. Like he doesn't seem like a movie star anymore. He seems like he's about to run for mayor and that's lame. He's got to fix that. So the DCU thing, I put it on here, but like I don't want a James Gunn Superman movie. Two, I think The Rock is cooked, and that's hilarious.
Tell him the man in black sent you.
She is very gorgeous to me.
The second best movie going experience that I had in 2022 was going to a press screening of Avatar: The Way of Water at the AMC at Tyson's Corner in Northern Virginia, if you're familiar, seeing it in 3D, 48 frames a second, Dolby. I have been rather casually, I'll say, defending Avatar to the haters for years now. A couple of years removed from the first Avatar, I was making all the same jokes everybody else was about no cultural footprint, Fern Gully, yada, 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 whatever. I rewatched the movie a few years ago now, I guess, maybe like 4 years ago, for the first time since I saw it in theaters. And watching the first Avatar on a 720p TN panel on a $200 Walmart Hewlett-Packard laptop That movie looked better than every movie I'd seen that year. Still, like it held up so remarkably well. It's a gorgeous movie. I was like, you know what? Everyone's just wrong. This movie's gorgeous. It's got so much heart. The action is incredible. The modern blockbuster has gotten so much worse since Avatar came out. Just by and large, these movies every year they get kind of worse and worse, or more frankly, just more mediocre. Not even necessarily bad. They're just like meh. So I've been hyped for Big Jim to come back to town for a while now. And I'll admit that there was a part of me that was a little nervous. I was like, man, I've talked a lot of shit in the last year or two. If Avatar 2 sucks, I'm going to have to either admit that and like accept defeat for being wrong, which happens from time to time, or I'm going to have to like just devote myself to irony and like never like and just embrace the bit of it all. But within like 4 or 5 minutes of The Way of Water, I was like so like I don't have to say I was on the right side of history. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to copy and please. This movie's incredible. It's one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen in my entire life. I love Avatar so much. I can't wait for the sequels. After the first Avatar movie, I thought it was good when I saw it in theaters, and then before I like kind of turned on like most people, and then even after I like reclaimed it, I still was like, if they don't make it anymore, that's fine. You know what I mean? I wasn't like dying to go back to Pandora. Now I am. I cannot wait to go back to Pandora. I can't wait till I can find a spare 3 hours and 12 minutes to go watch the movie again, God forbid. And I want 3, I want 4, I want 5, I want all these movies, I want them very badly at this point. If I had one major criticism, I would like there to be a cut of Avatar 2, not for people who are into the imaginary digital tourism of Pandora. I think Pandora looks cool. I could do with less of the middle hour of the movie where I'm just looking at how cool the water is and stuff. Like, it's beautiful and it's captivating and all that, but like, Jim, I want to see people get shot with arrows. I want to see capitalists get killed. Can we get back to what matters? You know what I mean? So that's my only beef with Avatar. But the movie's fantastic. $1 billion worldwide in 12 days. It's on a good track. Everyone that says it has no cultural footprint can go screw, as far as I'm concerned. I know there's like more deeper discourse about the movie and people fighting about a lot of various things, but like just very surface level, this movie really connected with me. I really enjoyed it. I think it's very impressive. So glad I watched it. So glad that like Avatar and like Top Gun Maverick this year brought back what feels like real blockbuster action. You know what I mean? Like real old school movie making mentality. And I'm just grateful, And also, Big Jim's press tour has been a riot. Every day there's a new funny quote. And it's actually been giving me a lot of strength through these hard times.
That little bitty watch calling in. I can boss a bitch up for a nut.
End of the year lists can be very difficult to put together. Last year, I did not even put out my lists at all. I was kind of going through some stuff. I had COVID at the end of the year, and then the year started. I didn't want to bother, so I never put out a list. If you look in the description below, I finally made my best movies of 2021 list very quietly on Letterboxd last week, so that's in there if you were curious about that from a year ago. But also, you'll find my list for my best new movies of 2022 list, just movies that came out this year that I saw. It's a top 25. And then also my best new watches list of just the best movies that were new to me this year. Not necessarily movies that came out, but movies I saw for the first time. Many of the movies on one of the lists I've done videos about, so like I'm not going to rehash all that stuff, and I'm not going to go point by point by every movie because it's a lot of movies. But I will say that like the top 3 on my best movies list movies, I just want to have a quick say about. There are 3 movies that I think everyone needs to see. And I know in my actual reviews of stuff, I tend to be a little more equivocating about like, oh, you might like this, or you might not. Or, I don't care. These 3 movies are perfect, and you have to watch them, basically. So the 3 movies are Park Chan-wook's Decision to Leave, which is a really kind of zany, very creatively chaotic noir film, so to speak. Sort of a noir film, sort of a love story. It kind of feels like Preston Sturges's The Lady Eve, but like just like in a blender with a bunch of other stuff. It's like the editing and the visual effects of this movie are so intense and on point, and there's so many just strange transitions and such a lively, the way the story is told, it's like kind of extra, to be honest. Like I feel like if in the hands of a lesser filmmaker, it would be a little too showy to be enjoyable, but Tang Wei is incredible in this film. I think the direction, everything, it moved me so immensely. I'm going to try to find time to rewatch it before the year is out, because I just loved it that much. I just want to confirm for myself that I'm not crazy. I thought Decision to Leave is... You have to see Decision to Leave. I'm not even going to like hard sell you, explain the plot and stuff. Like, just trust me, you will not regret it. And if you do, and you come to the comments, you know, like, Dom, I watched it, it sucked. Well, then, like, you're just telling on yourself. The other movie, I am very late to the party on this movie, but RRR, this incredible, super, super long movie that like a bunch of my friends all got really into around like the spring or like June when it had like a theatrical run and stuff. I was very late. I saw the clips with the tiger, and I saw the two hot hunks like becoming pals and stuff. Like I knew it had to be good, but I was like, I'll get around to that at some point, whatever. But they actually sent me a digital version of the movie with all my like screeners and stuff. I know it's on Netflix too, but like they sent me this, and I threw it on, and I was hooting, I was hollering, I was having like a religious experience watching this movie. It's a movie where like the title credit doesn't hit for like 45 minutes. It's got amazing action. It's like got amazing music, amazing dance sequences, great hair, a lot of good facial hair, a lot of like top head hair, good costume. Everything about it is like, in a just world, this would just win like 40 Oscars. Like, what are we doing here? This movie is incredible. I cannot fathom someone watching it and then being like, it was okay. Or like, I thought that was fine. Like, no, you will be leaping out of your seat, somersaulting, doing like an acai moonsault off of like your windowsill through your coffee table. Like, it's, yes, the RRR. It's legit. And then earlier I referenced Avatar, and I said that Avatar was the second best theatrical experience that I had all year. The first best theatrical experience that I had all year is I was in Dallas for WrestleMania this year. My dear friend Justin's bachelor party, and the night we touched down in Dallas, I, and our friend Cyrus, we all went to this Mexican theater chain in Dallas to see Ty West's X. And X is like a pretty good movie, and I like X. It's solid. But the experience I had with these two guys watching it in this ridiculous little theater, where like it was such an experience. It was such a, like, we talked about this for months. Just how quaint the theater was, like how funny like the actual like, crowd was, how we were just like literally like essentially on our own, like talking through the whole thing and like Googling stuff that we didn't. Who's the actor? Oh, that looks like Martin Henderson from Torque. Like just really having like a good time. And it's like one of my most cherished like movie going experiences like ever, like this year for sure, but like maybe ever. Like I love those guys like so much. But as good as that experience was, Pearl, which is technically a prequel to X, that's how good this movie, like X, pretty good movie, incredible experience, and then Pearl, seen it by myself on my birthday, insane movie, like just so good. I know Mia Goth is not going to get an Oscar either for starring in the movie as Pearl or co-writing it with Ty West, but it is one of the best horror movies I've ever seen. One of the best just movies I've seen all year, and I'm married! An incredible lead performance, gorgeous camera work, really, really strong storytelling. I don't know how I went into this movie and ended up just like relating so hard, or like being so like feeling so much empathy towards like a farm girl murderer, basically, without getting into the plot details too much. But like Pearl is magnificent. It's like one of the, it's so good. Like when I started seeing people talk it up, like, oh, it's even better than X, I'm like, well, that's not too hard. X was cool, but it wasn't like whatever. And then I seen like Martin Scorsese saying it was good and stuff. I was like, what's going on? What are we doing? This is Ty West. I've almost never liked the Ty West movie. I was wrong. Like this movie is so good. I can't wait for Maxine, to round out the trilogy. But what an exemplary picture. Just what the Oscars have been ignoring really good horror actresses for like a long time. Like Toni Collette in Hereditary, Lupita Nyong'o in Us. This is just a thing. Like women do amazing work in horror and then like they just don't get awards. It's bullshit. But Mia Goth, like far and away the best actress of the year. Like this isn't even a debate to me. Please see Pearl. In terms of my best new watches, I did watch a lot of horror movies this year. Like I watched a ton of horror movies in October. There's a list for that in the description as well if you want to see all the horror movies I watched in October. But the 3 movies that I think everyone should check out that are really good is I watched Elaine May's Mikey and Nicky, which I'd never heard of before, but it stars Peter Falk and John Cassavetes as like these low-level hoods who are like lifelong best friends, and John Cassavetes is there's like a hit out on him, and Peter Falk is like his long-suffering best friend trying to keep him safe. And it is one of the best movies I have ever seen about male friendship and about the complexities of the way men are beholden to one another, and like the petty jealousies and the sense of loyalty and some of the frustrations and stuff that can kind of come from deep friendships. It's remarkable. It's one of the most impressive movies I've ever seen in my life. I could not believe this movie had just been like kept from me all these years. Like, and by kept from me, I mean didn't know it existed, but really game changing for me. I also watched this really cool movie called Dead Bang with Don Johnson. I started 2022 with a couple of Don Johnson movies because Don Johnson rules, and then also like I like the kind of shitty movie he would have to make in the late 80s, early 90s. I love short little movies about cops or private eyes or men in border towns about to do heists, that sort of thing. It's like my favorite thing. Dead Bang, really good. Really funny, smart, violent little action movie where Don Johnson just plays like a piece of shit, like drunk loser cop who's like hunting like some like racist conspiracy theorist people. It's nuts. It's a wild movie, but I'm not even sure if it's streaming anywhere, but definitely worth checking out. And then I can't say a lot about this movie because there's no way to explain it. It's sort of like a fever dream. It's kind of like if like David Lynch directed like Snow on the Bluff. I don't know how to describe it, but the movie's called Dogface, a trap house horror. It's like a Tubi movie, but it's on Peacock. It's on the cock. And my friend Cody made me watch it one night. I was having a bad night. I was in a bad mood. He was like, watch Dogface. You'll like it. And I love him. He's like my best friend, but he's like also like a monster. I was having a bad Halloween once, and he told me I should rewatch Blade Trinity. He said it was like better than I remembered, and it was actually worse. And he knew that. He thought that was funny. So no, I didn't want to watch Dogface, a trap house horror. But I put it on, and within like minutes, I was transfixed.
What's wrong with Derek?
Derek!
It is one of the most strange and ambitious for like the budget and skill level movies I've ever watched. And like I want everyone I know to watch it so we can make it like the next like big cult hit, but no one I know other than Cody has seen it. I keep telling people to watch it. They keep not listening to me. So like if you want to do me a solid, forget anything else I talk about in this video, if you have time to watch Dogface, a trap house horror on Peacock, I need you to do it. And I need you to come back here and like tell me about your feelings about it. Like I want to make this movie, like I want there to be like live shadow casts of screenings of Dogface, a trap house horror at rep houses all across the country. Like I want this to become like a thing. And I think we have the power to make that happen. Us, me and you. I don't like making worst movies of the year lists, so I'll make this really brief. But the worst movie of the year is Darren Aronofsky's The Whale. It fucking sucks. I hate this movie. I love Brendan Fraser. I want Brendan Fraser to win an Oscar just like everybody else. He is pretty good in this movie. The movie's terrible. I'm not even going to explain my feelings about it. The other day, I got so mad about it at work that I reenacted the entire movie over the course of like 20 minutes to my friend Steven, who's moving to California very soon. I'm going to miss him a lot. So I needed to like serenade him on the way out of the state with my hatred for this movie, which I hate. I thought Mother was Darren Aronofsky's worst movie. The Whale makes Mother look like, I don't know, a better movie than even Darren Aronofsky's best movies. You know, it just sucks. Don't let anybody tell you it's good. I might write a review of it soon. We'll see. Probably not for the channel. But don't watch The Whale. It sucks. Something that's been on my mind very heavily the last couple of weeks is the Sight and Sound poll. Every decade, Sight and Sound, the magazine, puts out their poll of the best movies, like the most important movies, like the canon movies of all time. And every 10 years, like the pool of people they ask for their top 10 lists changes. Sometimes it's like the same people like every year, but like in the earlier history of the list, it was like 40 or 50 people, and then it got to be like 100 people or something. And like, I think 10 years ago, I want to say it was like 200. And then this year it ballooned to being like over 1,000 people. So it's a lot of newer filmmakers, a lot of newer film critics, a lot of like younger voices, a lot more diverse voices too. And every year, like the list does not have, I don't know, the most upheaval or most drastic changes. I'm not like an expert on the history of the list, but almost every year Citizen Kane was number one. And then for a while, like Vertigo was number one. So this year, there was a lot of upheaval. And some big movies that like people have always been on the list, like Godfather Part 2 isn't on the list anymore, Lawrence of Arabia, all these like movies that have always been like indisputable classics. And then some newer movies have made their way onto the list. So like Moonlight, Get Out, Parasite, which I thought was kind of weird, to be honest. Love that movie, but kind of weird. And Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which is like very fast become... It didn't just make it on the list. It made it up to like number 30 or something of all time, And there's a lot of discourse, a lot of arguing and fighting and stuff about, whether or not some of these choices had real merit, or whether or not, as Paul Schrader put it, it was like a woke realignment of the canon and stuff. There was a lot of fighting. All that stuff I think was largely petty and silly. But the part that was most fascinating to me was, well, twofold. One, seeing a lot of critics who I'm either friends with or who I really admire get to give their poll for the Sight and Sound for the first time, like being asked to give a list, which I think is really like a cool badge of honor. I don't know. To me, it's like getting to do a Sight and Sound poll is like if you're a wrestler and you go to Japan, they give you like a Ribera jacket from the steakhouse. Like that's to me what that feels like. I have neither, and I think it'd be cool to have both. But that, and then getting to see all these filmmakers lists. Like a lot of directors are on the list who've been making lists like every 10 years for years. And it's, their stuff's not surprising. But seeing a lot of like younger filmmakers and seeing like what matters to them. Like the guy that directed RRR had like The Lion King and like 2 Mel Gibson movies on his list. It's crazy, but it's like, if you've seen his films, like that's kind of like his thing. Ty West, who we were talking about earlier, I think got made fun of a fair bit for his list being so basic. Like it kind of looked like he just Googled the best movies of all time or whatever. And I think the issue that people had with his list was that everyone else's list looked like a photo of them almost. Like you could look at the list without a name and kind of guess who the filmmaker was. Because oftentimes the movies they listed were really important to them and shaped them and influenced them and inspired them. And what ends up on the master list to me is less exciting than seeing people's individual lists and what they like and what matters to them and what they want to talk about or what they want to share with people or what they think should be enshrined in the annals of time, So I did the thing that a lot of corny and desperate cinephiles on the internet did after the list came out. I made my own Sight and Sound list because I didn't get asked, so I made my own because I thought it'd be fun. And I agonized over it because I was like, what would I put, And like, I tried to be really honest with myself because I feel like a lot of critics were just kind of, I don't feel like a lot of critics were being honest. I don't feel like a lot of critics were really choosing movies that mattered to them and spoke to them in a way that was important. And it felt like they were kind of trying to like game it to get certain things on the list and stuff like that. And like, when I did my WAFCA voting, I had to do that a little bit, you know what I mean? Like I had to, in my opinion, like fight for things that I knew the other critics in the group would not fight for, hoping it would make it to the nominees level. So like, I understand, but for this, I don't know. I wanted to see people just be real and honest, about what those movies were for them. And I made my list, and I feel okay about it. Like I feel pretty good about it. I feel like this is pretty honest. I don't know. Maybe if you guys get to this far in the video, in the comments, let me know what you would make your Sight and Sound poll if someone asked you to make one, or if you were just bored on Letterboxd like me. In no particular order, literally no order, because I wrote a bunch of movies and then just deleted the ones that didn't fit. In pretty much no particular order, my Sight and Sound imaginary poll, Spike Lee's Bamboozled. I love that movie. Really was important to me when I was like a teenager. Double Indemnity, probably my favorite Billy Wilder movie. I've talked about it on the channel before. Fantastic film. Michael Mann's Miami Vice, theatrical cut. I just love Miami Vice so much. It was the first movie I watched in 2022. This movie is just really important to me. The Matrix, the original Matrix. Like obviously, I was surprised it wasn't on more people's lists. Like it's like my generation's like Star Wars. I don't know. It's crazy to me. Sweet Smell Success, the Alexander McKendrick film. I've made a video about this on the channel too, but it's maybe the finest written movie ever made. I love it to death. Chungking Express, probably my favorite Wong Kar-wai movie, like slightly over In the Mood for Love, just because I love the energy of Chun King, and like it really opened up to me what I thought a film could be when I saw it when I was like a teenager. Like it really meant a lot to me. The New World, Terrence Malick's The New World. I saw this only one time in my life at the AFI with my friend Tom, who I miss dearly. He lives in California now. And Tom, huge Terrence Malick fan, and seeing this movie with Tom, the person who introduced me to Malick's work, it was an otherworldly experience. Like I don't think anything could compete with it. It was so good. Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino, I talk about all the time. I defend him all the time in conversations. Important filmmaker to me, and Pulp Fiction's like fucking like the best movie of the '90s to me. So, Raging Bull, because other versions of this list had no Martin Scorsese movies, and I couldn't leave it off. You know, it's Marty. It's like it's my father. It's my dad. And then finally, I don't want to call this a controversial choice, but I put it on here, and I kept deleting it. I kept putting it back because I felt like it needed to be there. Christian Petzold's Phoenix is a movie that it's like 5-7 years old, something like that, and I saw it when it first came out. Maybe a year after it first came out, and the ending has stuck with me to this day. Shout out to my friend Izzy, the person who runs Be Kind Rewind. She mentioned Nina Haas's performance in this movie in her new video, 12 Days of Actress, as being a performance that you should seek out. It's an incredible movie. You watch her video, Izzy rules. But something about Phoenix, I don't know what it is. It's like, in terms of being a modern movie, it feels so timeless. And I don't know, I was just obsessed with it for a long time. So that's my Sight and Sound poll. Discourse is awful. Look, I love movies, as you guys can tell, I think, and I love talking about movies. And because I work a lot, and because I don't get to see my friends as much as I'd like to, I have to seek out the community on the internet to be able to talk about movies when I want to. You know, when I go to press screenings and stuff, when I get out, there's like a couple of people I like talking to. But other than that, like, I tend to kind of keep to myself. And I end up online. And it starts, I see a movie, I'll go to Letterboxd, I see which of the people I follow have seen it. I maybe hit them up, or they hit me up, they saw that I watched it. We'll talk a little bit. It's very nice. But if I'm on Twitter or other places on the internet, or God forbid TikTok, I'm exposed to so many awful opinions on a daily basis. And I do it to myself, to be very clear. This is my own fault. Because I'll see a bad take. I'll see a tweet where someone says something I think is fucking stupid, and I want to ignore it. I want to scroll and like go look at anything else. But then I go to the comments, and then I go to the replies, and then I go through the quote tweets. And then before I know it, I've lost an hour of my life arguing with someone in my head, because I don't like flame warring. I don't like actually tweet and be like, you suck. I just think it real loud. Like, you're so stupid. How could you be this stupid? And it's so bad. It's so bad for me. It's so bad for all of us. Every day for the last couple of months where it seemed like Elon Musk was going to finally fully destroy Twitter, like, felt kind of good. I was like, okay, cool. This is enough. But like, it's still there, and I'm still using it. You don't even see me tweet very often. You don't. But I'm there. I'm lurking, and I'm reading bad tweets because the algorithm always brings them to me, and it's awful. And I don't know what to do about it, really, because the movie industry has changed so much, and movies are so different. People have such a weird sports team mentality about the movies and the things that they champion, and it's mixed with the worst things about like stan culture from pop music, and those two things converge with people's like, alternately pretentious and idiotic tastes in things, means that no one can ever just be normal about a fucking movie. They have to have like the worst take, they have to be contrarian for clicks, they have to do all these horrible things, and it makes me sick, and it's genuinely bothering me, because sometimes I want to just be a part of the community and just talk about movies with people and share my thoughts and do things. And every time lately that I go to, I just end up not doing it. I can't tell you how many times TikTok will show me a video from some like really irksome, person who only covers superhero movies, like that type of critic or person, and they'll say some stupid fucking thing. And it always comes from a place of like ignorance, because like they're not curious about movies that came from before them. And then the comments are just people agreeing with them mindlessly about movies they've never seen, and they've just formed an opinion because they read a Wikipedia entry, and they just go back and forth, and I'm just scrolling. I'm just looking at it, and it's just the worst. Like, it's genuinely really one of the worst things about being into movies in 2022 and 2023 too. Every time I see someone on TikTok and it says, Stitcher hottest take, I want to throw my phone across the room. Stop encouraging people to have extreme... This isn't like... When it comes to like politics and like real situations and stuff, I'm not one of those people that thinks extremes are bad. I hate that mindset of like, oh, the extremes are crazy. It's all in the middle where everything counts. I don't agree with that. Like when it comes to like politics, obviously. When it comes to just talking about movies, I think it should just be okay to just not have to have an extreme take about something. Not every movie that comes out nowadays. I've seen the Weird Babylon discourse. I've seen the Glass Onion discourse, and people just fight and fight. And I'll talk to a friend who's not very online, and he'll ask my opinion about a movie, and I'll share it, and then I can't help but be like, yeah, but people are fighting about this online. And he's like, yeah, I'm not on Twitter. I don't know about that. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'd love to not know about that. I'd love to not know about a lot of things. So I guess I just have to have more self-control in the new year, or just block more people or things, or figure out how to use the internet in a safer way for my own psyche and anger issues, because I love film, and I love people's passion about film, and I don't mind disagreeing with people. I have plenty of friends that I love dearly and I'm close with, and we strongly disagree on movies. I mean, strongly. But I still love them, and they love me, and we get along, and everything's cool. Because I know those are the real feelings, and they know these are my real feelings. They know it's not like a weird game of one-upsmanship to be the most inane person alive, you know? So something's got to kind of change. So, what's next for the channel? That's the big thing. I didn't want to make this a like what's going on or update type video, but this is the least I've uploaded since I started this channel this year, and I'm not happy about that. And I want to fix it. I want to change it, but I don't want to just make random promises I can't keep. So, a couple of things are happening in the new year. Thing one is that I'm going to loosely commit to trying to get at least one video essay out a month, like a real something a little deeper and more researched and written, and something a little meatier like I used to be able to make. I started writing one. I didn't like it. It pissed me off. I just got to proof a little bit longer before I can put it in the oven. But it's what people are asking for. It's what I want to make. And I just, I just haven't been very pleased with my own work. So we'll be doing more of that. Like, it's coming. I know I keep saying it, but it's really genuinely coming. And then I am going to still be reviewing movies on the channel. Not as often, obviously, but like next week there's a movie coming out that I think you guys know the movie. I'm not going to say it, but there's a movie coming out that I'm very excited about. I'm going to review that for the channel. It'll be probably the first review of the new year. And things like that. I'm still very dedicated to writing at Looper. I'm still very dedicated to writing the Baltimore Beat. So all of my actual, meaty reviews are going to be those two places. Please check in the description for my links to those sites. So you can, if you have a question in the comments, you're like, did you review this? I probably did. And it's probably one of those two links. And, but I am still going to do some reviews for the channel, and it's fun. It's something I enjoy doing. I like having this outlet. But the other thing is I'm going to be starting a new project here on the channel that I'm still kind of ironing the details out on, but it's something that's a little bit different, and I think it will help me be able to have more consistent uploads. And it's going to be a little more interactive, maybe. We'll talk about it soon. But it's coming. It's something different. It's something a little new, and I hope you guys like it, because I miss doing this. I miss actually making stuff on a weekly basis. It's hard to fit my schedule, but I don't want to keep using that as an excuse. I just have to figure out how to make more time to do it. And it turns out that probably if I just stay off of Twitter, I'll actually probably make a lot of new time and space for myself. So yeah, this video ended up getting a little longer than I expected, so that'll be fun. But I miss you guys. I appreciate everyone's support, and the people who still watch the channel, the people who still share it with their friends and all that good stuff, and like it and comment and everything. The channel couldn't exist without you guys. It would just be me in a room. I mean, it is just me in a room, but knowing that eventually people are going to see it and engage with it, it's like my favorite thing, and I really miss it. So again, there's a bunch of stuff in the description, links to the movies and lists I talked about from Letterboxd, and obviously there's tons of stuff that we talked about today. If you guys want to talk more in the comments, I'll be around. Yeah, so thank you guys, all of you. I hope everyone is staying safe, being good to yourselves and each other. I will see you next year. Happy New Year. So thanks, guys. Bye.